economic development agency for Gwinnett County. So it's our job and our privilege to wake up every single day to recruit, retain, and expand industries in our 5 target sectors. And as I mentioned, I lead the initiatives for technology.
You're with The Capitalist Sage, a twice-a-month podcast that seeks out entrepreneurs and experts that speak to the real-world life of doing business for their sage advice. Now, with your hosts, Karl Barham and Rico Figliolini.
Welcome to The Capitalist Sage podcast. We're here to bring you advice and tips from seasoned pros and experts to help you improve your business. I'm Karl Barham with Transworld Business Advisors, and my co-host is Rico Figliolini with Mighty Rockets Digital Marketing and the publisher of the Peachtree Corners magazine. Hey, Rico, how are you doing today?
Hey, Karl, great. Looking forward to this interview right now with Brian.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about what Partnership Gwinnett can do for businesses locally here in Gwinnett County and Georgia overall. But let's talk a little bit about our sponsors today.
Sure. So Peachtree Corners magazine is supporting this podcast along with the family podcast that we do. And we just put our last issue to the printer. It's coming out in about 2 days. So keep an eye out for it. Go to livinginpeachtreecorners.com and you'll see the digital version of that print edition that'll be coming out this week.
Fabulous. Great job with the Peachtree Corners magazine. Lots of great articles in there, keeping up with what's going on locally. So really appreciate all that information that's shared through that. Today, we are going to talk about what Partnership Gwinnett, one of the organizations within Gwinnett County, can do to help business owners, large and small, help drive economic development within the community. Today, I'm honored to have Brian Dorelus, who is a project manager with Partnership Gwinnett, to talk a little bit about some of the mission of the organization, some of the successes, and some of the things, resources that are available to business owners that help them with their businesses. Hey, Brian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just trying to stay dry in today's rainy weather, but doing good.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you joining us today. Why don't you start by introducing yourself to our audience and tell a little bit about yourself and what you do with Partnership Gwinnett?
Of course. Thank you. So once again, my name is Brian Dorelus. I'm the project manager for technology and life science with a focus and concentration on entrepreneurs and small business here at Partnership Gwinnett. And Partnership Gwinnett, for those of you who might not know, is the economic development agency for Gwinnett County. So it's our job and our privilege to wake up every single day to recruit, retain, and expand industries in our 5 target sectors. And as I mentioned, I lead the initiatives for technology and life science, but my counterpart leads the manufacturing and supply chain sector, and our leadership leads the kind of bigger corporate headquarters relocation projects. And so what we do every day is just to provide resources and be a one-stop shop for companies, big and small, so they could continue to grow in our community. And then prior to this, I was actually a Peace Corps volunteer at the Republic of Moldova, doing very similar work, doing economic activities with a local mayor, focusing on infrastructure and capacity building with the local village that I was stationed at.
Oh, that's fabulous. I'm going to jump in with the first question, and thanks for that introduction for Partnership Gwinnett. Can you describe a little bit about how you work with business owners, and I would also guess some of the other city economic development departments to help support thriving businesses in our communities?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing we do is we try to give concierge level service to businesses and companies in our communities within our 16 cities. So typically on an average day, I work with the local economic development managers, the city managers in each one of our beloved cities, and just hear about some of the issues that some of our businesses, large and small, are facing, and try to connect them with resources that typically they might not be aware of. And one of the good things about Partnership Gwinnett is that all of our services are free and complimentary. So if you're looking for research data or looking to get connected or even needing help with business plans or getting exposure, if we can't do it, it's our job to hunt down the person who can do it for you.
I'm curious, when you think about Metro Atlanta and Gwinnett County, what's the selling point for businesses to come and thrive here in this community? What have you found to be some of the things that really attract large and small businesses to Gwinnett?
I think typically we have some big pieces of infrastructure and systems in place that make businesses thrive. One is obviously being the airport. being the busiest airport and being 2 hours flight from all major airports, it really helps the interconnectivity between us locally and internationally between places of business. But on a more maybe personal and cultural aspect, one thing that Georgia has and Atlanta that really stands apart is that we are just pro-business and friendly environment. Ironically, I had lunch with a couple of international prospects, and they literally said the first thing they said that to other international companies is that Georgia is nice, which you would think is a weird selling point. But I would say as a community, we really have thrived because we work together really well with other partners within our community, within our cities, and across the Metro Atlanta region.
So when you think about Atlanta and how it's grown since the Olympics over the last 20 plus years, where do you see industries that are really starting to thrive in the Metro Atlanta region?
Just a little more about my background. I went to Georgia State University downtown. I was able and fortunate to see that growth happening almost before my eyes. And so some of the industries that just appeared and blossomed, you can't talk about Atlanta without talking about fintech. The Financial Technical Center, it's called the fintech capital of the world just because there's so many fintech companies located here. So when you think about entertainment, fintech, conjoining with the tech ecosystem here, it just became a natural boom because I guess before, if you look at Georgia and the Metro Atlanta, we was a huge manufacturing sector. And we still are. When you think of Georgia, you cannot not highlight some of the manufacturing pieces. But within the past 20 years, you're just seeing a huge boom and kind of major corporations coming to find that talent for that tech pieces and engaging the new generation with just the amount of startups that are appearing and them just engaging into the market.
So I know locally here in Peachtree Corners, Atlanta Tech Park, and in this area, there's been a thriving tech community that's been developing here. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the past and current activity you're seeing in this part of town?
Yeah, definitely. One thing Peachtree Corners has done really well is really brand themselves as a city of the future and a city to engage the technology not existing today, but existing or will be in the market 10, 15 years from now. So when you think about Peachtree Corners in particular and some success stories, they've branded themselves, as I mentioned, that city of the future by engaging with that 5G technology or the Internet of Things, which is the interconnections between everyday appliance into the interweb. And just because they have made themselves the centerpiece and the tip of the spear in that, now companies are searching and looking to be a part of just kind of the platform and the energy here. And that's not even talking about the autonomous vehicle track that's been deployed in Peachtree Corners and what they're doing with electric vehicles and self-driving cars.
Yeah, I know that we've heard an announcement about a company that's really expanding in the surgical medical space here. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how does something like that come about? And what role does Partnership Gwinnett play in helping make things like that happen?
Yeah, definitely. We were brought in very early into the project as the company Intuitive Surgical was looking to expand and grow. And for those who might not be familiar, Intuitive Surgical is the creator of the Da Vinci robot, a small robot that does surgery on individuals. And I'm not going to lie, I would be the first to admit that I was hesitant to think about having someone perform surgery on me that isn't a human body. But once you've seen the application and seen the success rate and seen what they've developed, you just want to go back to human hands. And so Partnership Gwinnett, in collaboration with the local city administration in Peachtree Corners, and then with our state partners, all work together hand by hand and kind of stepping forward of bringing the company here and just kind of doing what we do every day. Is telling the story of Atlanta and Gwinnett County, explaining that the workforce here, one thing great about Metro Atlanta is that we actually graduate more engineers than any other region. So telling them about the great work that's done at Georgia Tech and Georgia State and Kennesaw and SCAD, and then combine that with quality of life in Peachtree Corners and some of the other innovation hubs across the street, across Gwinnett County. It was a no-brainer. And we really just worked well with our community partners, with the local administration, and we brought all the resources kind of bundled together and made a compelling case that eventually they decided like this is where they want to be their new home. So it was our team in congruence with everybody else, and we work hard for this past summer to land a plane. And we're proud to say that they've opened, and it's one of the largest projects in Gwinnett County history.
Wow, that's fabulous, the work that's being done and seeing so many people playing a role, working together to make that happen. If I could ask a little bit around your area of specialty, when you think of startup companies, technology companies, and so on, what are some of the things that you see that could help bring more of that? How does that work to get more of that ecosystem developed here in Greater Atlanta and in Gwinnett County in specific?
I think when people typically think of startups, there's a little divide and a lot of misconceptions on what startups need and what they're looking for. And the first thing that startups themselves and other people sometimes get wrong is that they're looking for capital. They're looking for funding. And everybody's looking for funding. But one thing that we have here in Atlanta that really pushes the needle for these startups to grow is something I mentioned earlier, is that that interconnectedness between all parties and that mentorship and exposure. We're in an ecosystem where, generally speaking, it's pretty close-knit, even from Gwinnett to Atlanta or from Gwinnett to our community partners. It's a small-knit community where transportation time isn't that far. And so when talking to these startups, thinking about relocating or growing, we just tell them, like, hey, this is an area where innovation is booming fast. Innovation comes from areas where there is a problem and there's someone looking to solve. And Gwinnett County has set themselves apart being that problem solution for a lot of the world's societal problems. And so these startups, they come here and they find a lot of success and become leaders very quickly because of that.
Can you tell us a little bit about any specific startup that you're watching, some exciting stuff that's going on? Just give people a feel the activity that's happening here.
I could tell about some startups, but even some innovation hubs that we have where these startups are breeding. If we're looking at in your neck of the neighborhoods and Peachtree Corners, there's a lot of startups that focusing on 5G and cybersecurity. And one of them that come in conversation is Smart Eye Technology, using that retina scanning to scan for security purposes for documents, or providing cybersecurity solutions to municipalities. And especially with security and data breaches being something that was talked about maybe 10 years ago, but now being a necessity, these companies, these startups are becoming the face of what it means to protect yourselves in the new digital age. Kind of as you go up Gwinnett County, you have the Water Tower, which is a water innovation hub. Innovation hub, actually more of an innovation campus, if you really think about it. It's an area built solely for the innovation of water development, technologies, and water workforce. And there's just so many exciting water startups there, from providing clean water to the masses using hydro stations that could tell you not only the level of certainty how clean it is, but pull data about your current water usage and scan for that. To even some startups working on trying to gather water from solar panels. And then if you kind of move across from the water tower up north all the way up to 316, it's kind of the biggest and largest innovation hub, which is called Rowan. Recently, Gwinnett County just purchased 2,000 acres to build this kind of life science community. Life science community focusing solely on renewable energy, that life science and agriculture. And you can most aptly think about it as like a adjacent or something very similar to you see Research Triangle Park. And it's something so similar that we've actually hired the COO of Research Triangle Park to run the Rowan Foundation to lead to that development. And so while that development is still ongoing, since it's such a massive project for Gwinnett County, we've just engaged a lot of startups and larger corporations.
Gotcha. I'm curious, when you're talking about some of these innovation hubs and so on, what are some of the things that make us more attractive than other cities around them? What infrastructure is in place that entrepreneurs and tech folks can come to Gwinnett County and leverage?
One of them is just the level of service that we offer here at Partnership in Gwinnett. As I mentioned a little briefly, we like to call ourselves community connectors, or kind of the one-stop shop. So we have partners at SCORE or SBDC or SBA and ACE Capital who are willing to sit down with these entrepreneurs on one-on-one and give them that service and that training they need to find capital, to find exposure, to find that mentorship that could really take them to the next level. But also, we got a lot of resources just around the region that provides that same level of service at very little to no cost. And one thing is the best thing about Gwinnett is sometimes the worst thing about Gwinnett is that it's so big that entrepreneurs don't know where to go. And so we could help them point to that direction.
Now, I want to talk a little bit of specific resources. So if I'm thinking of starting a business, whether I'm a CEO of a large company looking to expand into the Southeast, or I'm a tech company that's looking to establish operations here locally, what are some of the specific resources and tools you have that I can come to and get help with that most people may not know about?
And if you was a small business, I would actually first you could come to me as the kind of the first level of inquiry just to get some general questions. And then what we will do from that process is kind of direct you to the next step. And you could think about this as almost as stages. So first, the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce will be the first step, just to network. The community here and all the businesses that's under the umbrella can really help you brandish yourself and find the market that you're looking for. And then after that, we'll probably divert you to SCORE, which is an organization from volunteers that help you with your business plan, to help you figure out what's your target market, what's your SWOT analysis, who are you trying to aim for, and kind of really solidify and drill down your kind of the needs for your business. And then depending on your type of business and depending on if you're a startup, we also have an angel investment network where, similar to what Shark Tank has become, you can apply and pitch to angel investors who are looking desperately to try to invest in startups in the region to kind of find that next unicorn status startup. So there's just a bunch of resources here between a lot of the agencies here that can really help you go to the next level.
What if I'm a large company and I wanted to move here locally? What are some of the tools and resources available for people that are helping with that type of search?
Well, if you're a large company, the first thing you're looking for is space. Where am I going to have my production facility? Where am I going to house my employees? Even though you might be an office and there's the trend of working from home, you want a place where you can build that company culture. And so one of the things we do is connect you first find a property that kind of fits the parameters of your needs and connect you with our network of brokers. And then after that, pull some data and research into where's the best place for you. Are you looking for somewhere close to the airport or close to a major interstate? Or are you looking for a place where the city has a lively festival culture? And so we really work hand in hand to make sure that we find a facility for you. And then after that, we pull research, we pull our state partners to help with the tax incentives that companies all often qualify for, creating new jobs in our region and putting in capital investment. And then after we kind of help you relocate it, you, your company, your employees, and their families, we'd like to do a grand opening and press release to kind of welcome you in the community. And we've seen some press releases that have gone in grand openings that are just minuscule. They just want to let the community know they're here. And then we've also seen ones that want to do a whole festival, that want to have a Ferris wheel and a barbecue. And what we try to do is have the elected officials, key stakeholders, people in the community that fits the needs, and people that you want to get in front of, all at your grand opening, just to show that the community is here for you. And then after that, it's not after you've landed that we're just done with you. But one thing we always say is that one of the good things about us is that once you find us, we're always going to be contacting you. So you then have to kind of move into our retention program where we have our director for business retention and expansion kind of keep our eye on you, do checkups, and just make sure that you're growing and expanding. One of the services that we offer, of course, is helping with permitting needs. So if you're a company here located and you have some permitting concerns, or it's just trouble getting someone in contact, or you need a fire marshal to do a quick survey of your building, we can help facilitate and expedite that process for you.
If there was one thing that you, from your perspective, would really leapfrog Gwinnett County into the clear leader for companies of all sorts, what kind of infrastructure improvement would you say would need to be here, put in place so we could develop over the next 5 to 10 years to really become that easy decision for businesses to come and play here?
It would be hard to say because I feel like a lot of the things that Gwinnett County is already working on. So one thing typically that we've talked about internally in our office is that quality of life piece. But one thing Gwinnett County is already one step ahead of me is that, one thing about our 16 cities is all of them are developing their downtown area. Downtown Swanee is very different than downtown Peachtree Corners or downtown Northcross or downtown Lawrenceville, but they all have bubbly activity. And it's those little key pieces that are really important to the companies that are relocating, because you have to remember there are people too. These companies are comprised of people and employees. And after work, they also want to, unbutton their shirt and grab a beer or go to a beer garden. So just having a community that has activities, not only for the older generation, but even for the millennial generation as well. So for them to build that families, and Gwinnett County has led the way in developing that. So I would say, as for Gwinnett County to continue to grow, we have almost 1 million people as a population. Is just to further develop and redevelop, which has become a huge thing in economic development. It's redevelopment. And it's something Partnership Gwinnett has now taken the role into. Is redeveloping old areas that have been long forgotten and making those areas of attraction and beauty and entertainment where families and friends and coworkers and millennials all alike kind of enjoy the services.
Reinvention is always a key part, rebirth, reinvention, being able to do that. I'm curious, Brian, is there anything coming up what are you working on? What are some of the things that are coming up where people can engage in the community around Partnership Gwinnett?
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I've been working on with my team is how to provide more resources to entrepreneurs. There seems to be a little bit of a gap between small, medium-sized businesses and entrepreneurs to the larger corporations. So one thing that we're working on is how to bridge that gap, how to matchmake where a small business can apply to be a subcontractor for a larger company and a corporation. And so that's something that we're hoping to try to roll out as a program or a database where larger corporations, not only in Gwinnett County, but in general, a large corporation can have an RFI and these small businesses can go to the website, apply, and be awarded, I guess, a small subcontract work where they can work and kind of bridge the gap. That's one thing working in technology innovation is innovation definitely comes from within and also comes with collaboration with other partners. So we're actively looking at different ways and methods for that to happen.
Oh, fabulous. Well, Brian, I want to thank you. How can people reach you if they wanted to reach you? What's the best way to contact you?
Yes, the best way to contact me is go on the website, www.partnershipgwinnett.com. Go on the Teams and under my profile of Brian Dorelus, or you can go on LinkedIn and reach me there. Or you can reach me by email at bdorelus, DORELUS, at partnershipgwinnett.com.
Oh, that's fabulous. Well, you know what? I want to thank you, Brian, for everybody that's joining us midway. This is Brian Dorelus of Partnership Gwinnett, sharing some of the exciting things that are happening here in Gwinnett County and Metro Atlanta, here in Georgia, from on the small side, entrepreneurs, startup community, the resources and the help that they're bringing to the local cities as well as business owners, but also how they're bringing large companies into the areas, working collaboratively across many different stakeholders to make those things happen. Thank you so much for sharing some of the insight and introducing yourself to the local business community. Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much. And I'm Karl Barham with Transworld Business Advisors of Atlanta Peachtree. Our business advisors are available to help consult business owners, connect them to folks like Brian and other people in economic development. And if you're looking for real estate, commercial real estate, et cetera, we have a network of folks that can help people. And also, if you're looking at planning for your business growth through acquisition, if you're looking at doing something else, we help with business sales and business exit planning. If you want to contact me, you can reach me at kbarham@tworld.com or visit our website, www.tworld.com/Atlanta Peachtree. We're here in the community to help. Rico, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've got coming up?
Sure. Sorry I've been acting more as an engineer on this episode than anything else. But we just went to press with the printer in Monroe, Georgia. Do a shout out to Walton Press. They do a great job of printing the publication. We're at 88 pages this issue, the largest issue we've had since we started over 2 years ago. Lots of stuff in it. And the lead feature story is actually about the people that run the day-to-day activities, the 5 department heads of the city of Peachtree Corners. So it highlights them. Also, Judy Putnam is profiled in there. She's the communications director who's retiring. And we have a new communications director that will be taking over shortly. And a lot of other stories in there, along with photographs from Peachtree Corners Photography Club. They did a great fallish photo spread for us, and it's also the pet issue. So lots of pet pictures and the end of a giveaway that we've run for the last 4 or 5 weeks. So check that out. You can actually see the digital edition online at livingintpeachtreecorners.com. Other than that, Mighty Rockets is my company as well, a publisher of Peachtree Corners magazine, the purveyor of these podcasts and other marketing and product videos that we do for clients. So check that out. And if you need to reach me, it's Rico Figliolini on LinkedIn. You can get me there. I'm probably the only Figliolini short of 2 others that are my siblings if you find them. So Figliolini, just check that out and you can reach me.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, if you want to keep up with what's going on locally, multiple ways to follow us. Follow us on Facebook. What are some of the other ways that folks can hear the podcast and follow what's going on locally?
Sure. So the video podcast, if you go to Peachtree Corners Live on Facebook, or the Capitalist Sage on Facebook. They'll be streamed. We always stream those as a simulcast live stream. Search YouTube channel for Peachtree Corners Live. You can subscribe there and you'll get notified when we go live on the simulcast. And if you're looking to audio podcasts, anywhere that you find the podcast, right? iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, anywhere that you find audio podcasts, you can find us. Just Google the Capitalist Sage podcast and you'll pick up all sorts of resources that way.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. And the last thing I'll mention, if you have ideas for stories and articles, is there a way for folks to send that in to you, Rico?
Great question. Thank you. You can send any story, any ideas that you have, suggestions to editor@livingintpeachtreecorners.com. And if you're thinking there'd be a great subject matter for a Capitalist Sage podcast, certainly reach out to that email as well. And we'll be able to talk to you a bit about that. And quite frankly, let me do this as well. If you're looking to advertise or be a sponsor of the family of podcasts that we do, which includes the Capitalist Sage, Peachtree Corners Live, and Prime Lunchtime with the City Manager, which is a monthly podcast, reach out to me at editor@livingintpeachtreecorners.com.
Absolutely. How many homes do you reach currently with the magazine?
We mail 19,700 households get the magazine, and then another 1,200 out to about 100 locations. And
lots of reach there.
Oh, for sure. And more online because of the digital edition as well. And the weekly newsletters and the website and all that. Sure.
Absolutely. Well, Rico, thank you very much. And for everybody that joined us today, thank you for supporting and watching the Capitalist Sage. We're going to continue to have great topics for business owners and for people in the community. Let's talk about business. Well, everyone have a great day. Take care.
Take care, guys.
This has been the Capitalist Sage with Karl Barham and Rico Figliolini, the twice-a-month podcast with entrepreneurs and business experts. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Want more? Visit our website at capitalistsagepodcast.com.